The one, the only, Bencio Land. Good afternoon and welcome to Yeshiva YouTube. We're back. The 10 really dumb mistakes that very smart couples make. I have paused this book for, a month and a half right now, almost 2 months. It was a little overwhelming, the schedule, and I was in America for 3 weeks. So, for Pesach and a week after, so I didn't have a chance to give as many shiurim as I do. So we're back to this book, and also I'd like to say that I learned a lot about marriage over those 3 weeks. We'll talk about that at different times. I've been married almost 6 years, and marriage. I was once interviewing a woman for one of my videos, a funny video I was making. And she was married like 15 years at that point, and I asked her to give, her well wishes to my parents on, I think it was their 38th anniversary or something like that. I was just using that as an excuse. I wanted to have a funny interview or whatever, but it was their anniversary. I didn't end up making a video for them, but one of the things she said, and I was married, I think, 2 years at that point. She said, "Congratulations first on being married for 38 years." And I'm like, okay, like, who cares? Like, why is that so hard? But the more you think about it, the more you go through a marriage and the longer your marriage is, you realize how much harder it is to stay married. Marriage is very difficult, and especially when you have children involved, and young children, or even older children, I'm sure, make your life very difficult. And the longer you're married, the more obstacles you have to the relationship between you and your wife. And there's also an element of, it's not new, there's no freshness. It's an old relationship. And that, hurts the main aspect of relationship, which is love, which I'm going to talk about today. The author, we're beginning chapter 3 over here. We'll do the first part of chapter 3. Hopefully later on we will do the second part of chapter 3. It's titled Respect First. He's going to build on this notion that you're supposed to respect your wife, and a wife should respect her husband before the love. He quotes from the Rambam. The Rambam says, he has to honor his wife more than himself and love her as much as he loves himself. And he notes also, she should also respect her husband. The first thing the Rambam mentions, both by the husband and the wife, is they should respect each other before the love. Now, the author isn't saying that the glue to marriage is love. One of the 3 pillars of marriage is love. You have to build love in your marriage. And you can't build love without respect. That's what he learns from the Rambam, that the first part is to respect. He's going to talk more about this in the second half of the chapter. Before he gets to the fact that respect has to precede love in order for it to be a true love, he talks about what is real love. Well, it's a famous story from Yehuda Leib Chasman, the Mashgiach of Yeshiva Chevron. Once saw a Talmud eating fish with a bit too much gusto. It's a funny language that he uses. Imagine this guy, this is Bacher in Yeshiva. He's eating it. Friday night comes, they barely feed him in Yeshiva. And he gets a piece of fish, gefilte fish. And he loves gefilte fish so much. He said to the Talmud, "I see you love fish." The Talmud said, a bit sheepishly, "Yes, Rabbi, it's true, I love fish. You haven't fed us anything in the entire week in the yeshiva. I love my gefilte fish." To which Rabbi Leib Chasron replied, "You don't love fish. If you love the fish, you would dress it up, take care of it, and make sure it was well fed. You don't love fish, you love yourself." Okay. I think it's the same thing, because he loves fish. No one really loves the fish. They love what the fish does for them, right? When a man loves a woman, he loves the positive things about her, what she brings to the table, how she could affect his life. Yes, the point of the Torah is to love yourself. I've talked about this. I give also on the Parsha, a short gematria in the Parsha. This week's Parsha was Kedoshim. I said, "V'ahavta re'echa kamocha," Ani Hashem, has the same gematria, "V'ahavta es Hashem Elokecha." So I said the idea is that "V'ahavta re'echa kamocha," which I elaborated in the previous week. Re'echa, people think means their friend, but I don't think it means your friend. You have to love every person in the world, every Jew. You have to love like yourself. It's kind of impossible. Why would you want to have so many friends? Also, it's not going to be helpful to your life. Re'echa is the ra. It could have said kavercha. It says ra. The bad part is everyone has a yetzer hara and a yetzer tov. You have a bad a bad person and a good person, and you have to love that bad person until you're able to eradicate the bad person. You have to take care of it. You have to love it. You should love that like yourself. But the ultimate mission of the Torah is to love yourself. If I have to you love God. God, more than God wants you to love Him, He doesn't need your love. He wants you to love yourself. People often forget about this. The most important thing is to love yourself. When you love your wife, right, it's for you. You're not loving her for her. You're not servicing her with your love, right? This is what the author, I think, believes, is that you love somebody for them, to help them. And that's what he talks about. He says the most basic type of love, you'd say that a mother loves her child. When she has a child, he says, what is love? You know, the way a mother acts to her child. So first, the mother shows care to the child, takes care of the baby's needs. But if she wants to go to the movies or something like that, and the baby is not cooperating, so she can just leave and we'll get a babysitter. So the second aspect is responsibility. She hires the babysitter to take care of. And even that is not enough, because sometimes people have children and they want to project a certain image on the child for, their social status in the neighborhood. So they do things that are not good for the child. You have to respect the child, respect that person. So you have those things. You have care, responsibility, and respecting a person. That's, as he says, that's a pretty good working definition of love. That's what he defines love is. So love is caring for somebody. Most people would say when you love your wife, you care for your wife. Synonymously, caring and loving. If you love your wife a lot, you care for her a lot. He adds the fact of responsibility, which is important for a marriage. A husband has to be responsible to be a good husband. And respecting that person also is going to help you love that person. But he says not all love is the same. And he compares the love you have for your wife with the love you have for all your other Zion Kroll, for your siblings, for your parents, for your kids. Right? That love is a blood relationship. It's a blood relationship. He says you don't have to work on that love. But a wife, you didn't know each other before. A husband for a woman, you didn't know each other before. You have to work on that. You have to actively pursue it. And if you don't work on it, it will falter. No matter what you do, you'll always have a kinship to your parents, a kinship to your siblings, a kinship to your children, because there's a blood relationship. However, when it comes to your wife, if you don't actively pursue that love, and that's the strongest love is supposed to be by your wife, not by your parents, right? You're supposed to leave your parents and attach yourself to your wife. So the Torah says. So we have to realize that. And he says, and the relationship between a husband and wife is very sensitive. A husband and wife each have expectations, wishes, and desires. When their expectations aren't met, the reaction is, my spouse doesn't care about my needs, she doesn't care about me. Because you are so connected, you're also so vulnerable. When you're feeling exposed and your spouse isn't there for you, it's your best friend who is letting you down, and that hurts. When you unthinkingly make a hurtful comment, it cuts her to the core. With a wrong word or the smallest expression, feelings are hurt. Not just hurt, deeply wounded. How could you, my lover, friend, and confidant, do that to me? Because the relationship is so delicate, the passage from bliss to agony happens in the blink of an eye. If a couple doesn't repair the damage, the relationship can spiral downward. No longer do they feel attached, no longer do they feel bonded. They become antagonists, each battling for their needs, and the pain that they feel eclipses their love. If they don't repair the damage, their love can vaporize and disappear. Okay, so he told us what love is. And he told us that love is most important when it comes to husband and wife. And that's really God wants. He wants to love it, but it's also the most delicate. Now, there's a couple things that I disagree with about what he said over here so far in this chapter. Number one, I told you that I don't believe that care and respecting someone, responsibility to someone has anything to do with love. Love or liking somebody is you love something that makes you happy with that person. When you search for friends, there are people that are similar interests to you. They're fun to be with. You like people that are fun. You like people that have a nice personality. You like a woman who looks good. You like someone who's nice to you. You like someone who could take care of you, who could help you. People, in the basic sense, people helping. A wife who helps their husband. Ben Shapiro said that the thing he loves the most about his wife is when his wife helps him with the chores that he needs to do. She takes care of his chores. So you could like people that help you, keep a clean house and cook food for you and take care of the needs in the house. You like that about the person. They're doing something for you. That's what all love is. It should always be centered about yourself. It sounds selfish, but the world makes us think that being selfish is the worst thing. That's the only thing, right? The Torah says, "B'shvilin chayav adam l'omer b'shvilin nivra olam." If you don't worry about yourself, who's going to worry about you? You have to worry about yourself first. Even your spouse, they have to care about themselves first. Second, they can worry about their spouse. But if they don't care about themselves enough, then whatever they do for you is going to be meaningless because they don't have value themselves. They don't value themselves. Whatever they do is not going to be the same. It's not going to be as powerful. It's not going to be as committed. So first, you have to worry about yourself, and it's very hard to do that. So when you love fish or you love your wife, you love what she does for you. You love that she has a nice personality. You love that she looks nice. You love that she takes care of you. Those are things you love about your wife. And there's nothing embarrassing about saying that. And if you have a relationship where your wife does absolutely nothing for you, and you don't like how she looks, you don't like her personality, she doesn't take care of you, she doesn't help you out, she's constantly bickering with you and getting into fights with you, there's no love. Even if you want to be a good husband, right? Technically, you could do this. You could be a good husband. Being a good husband has nothing to do with love. Being a good husband means that I'm a husband. I committed by marrying this woman to take care of her. I signed the ksuba, right? I'm obligated according to the Torah and according to the ksuba, this written document, to provide certain things for my wife. That doesn't establish love. Even if I take care of all my commitments fastidiously, I do everything I'm supposed to do, right? I feed her. I earn money. I make sure she has the food to eat, the clothes to wear. I'm together with her at the right times, and I make her happy. I do everything for her. She can be the worst wife in the world. I can still be a good husband. I can be an amazing husband, but at the same time, it's not gonna make me love my wife. I only love my wife if she does something for me. If there's something positive I see in her. Of course, that helps to be a good husband. If you're not a good husband, she's probably not going to be too nice to you, and her good qualities are probably not going to have much of an effect on you. So the first step is to be a good husband. But real love is based on the things that you like about your wife or love about your wife. And yes, I do agree that it's most important to cultivate love with your wife, like the Torah says, "V'davak v'ishto." But I also disagree with the fact that by your other Zion Krovim, by your parents, by your siblings, by your kids, that you don't need to work on the relationship. You do need to work on the relationship. I know so many people that have terrible relationships with their parents, terrible relationships with their siblings, terrible relationships with their kids. Why? Because they didn't work on it. You have to work on these things. Any relationship, the Torah wants you to have a relationship. Those are, special relationships. Just like the Torah wants you to worry about your wife, have a relationship with your wife. Because if your wife were to pass away, you have to do kriya, and you have to bury her, and there's certain halachas that apply. It shows you there is supposed to be a kinship between you. Even by parents, you have to cultivate a relationship. There's so many parents that, when their children do something different than they had planned, either the parents cut off ties or the children cut off ties. Sometimes, people will tell them, rabbis can tell them, advisors will tell them, cut off the relationship with your parents. It's the worst advice ever. You should never ever cut off a relationship with your parent. It's the stupidest advice ever. No matter how different they are, whether they're acting like goyim or doesn't make a difference. They're your parents. Your parents are your parents. You have a mitzvah to mechabed them. You have a mitzvah to honor your parents. I mean, that honoring your parents is the strongest relationship. You have to honor them, right? There's no mitzvah to honor your wife. Right? The Gemara encourages it, but there's no mitzvah in the Torah to honor your wife. There's no mitzvah to honor your children. There's no mitzvah to honor your siblings. But there is a concept of having a relationship with them, and you have to, just like siblings also, you know how many relationships with siblings are strained? Some people have relationships with siblings, some people have no relationship with their siblings. It's true, and with kids also, sometimes, parents cut off ties with their kids, It's up to both parties to try to make it work, and the parents, if their kids, make it difficult, the relationship, they have to go after them and try, because, as a parent, you want to have a relationship with your kid. So it takes work, and it takes participation. Love, it depends who your parents are. It depends who your siblings are. It depends on who your kids are. Again, love is things that I like about them. I might like the fact that I'm related to them, but you don't really like that too much. To like about the personality. You might like a sibling more who's more similar to you, or who you get along, the personality get along better with them. You might like one parent more than the other because one parent is more with it, or one parent helps you more, or you might like, kids over another. You don't show favoritism to one kid over the other, but there's definitely, you should be able to identify, a person who's in touch with themselves should identify which sibling they like the best, and which parent they like the best, and which child they like the best. If you can't identify that, you're missing part of yourself because you don't understand yourself properly. So I do believe they take effort and work, but of course he's right that the most work should be done on your marriage to be that good husband, to be that good wife. And I will say this, that when he talks about how fragile the relationship is between a husband and wife and why it's so easy, even one, comment, a snide comment from a husband to wife or wife to husband could really kill the relationship. It's because the relationship with husband and wife is not built on kinship of family. It's built on love. That's really what it's built on. It's built on love. Right? The whole relationship is centered on love. And the greatest expression of love, he says at the end of the book, he's going to talk about intimacy. I gave a whole lecture series about marital intimacy. Entire book I did about that from a Jewish perspective. And I've emphasized many times that the 98% of the success of a marriage is based on the success in the bedroom, the success of marital intimacy. That you do things in the bedroom that make both of you happy, and you're both actively participating, and you're both interested. And it takes a lot of work to work on that. But that, it's called making love in the secular world. That's making love. You want the greatest way to make love. Anything, the reason the marriage is so sensitive is because when you say something negative or nasty to your wife, or she says something nasty to you, right, that takes you so far away from the bedroom. Bedroom is, to enjoy yourself in the bedroom. You can't enjoy it if you hate each other. If you're fighting, it's just not going to go. You're not going to want to be together with your wife. Your wife's not going to be together with you. So therefore, any break in the relationship, you criticize another person, right? It's going to be hard for that other person to say, you know what, I'll go. If you have a friend, let's say you have a male friend, you criticize, he's something negative to him, you might get upset for a while. But what's the base of your what's the end of your relationship? Sitting and schmoozing with the guy. All right, I forgive you. Who cares? Let's sit and schmooze. All right, I don't have time to schmooze. Whatever. We'll meet tomorrow. But a wife, the whole point of the relationship is to be together in the bedroom. That's the whole point. That is the whole relationship in essence. That's what marriage really means. So, at the end of the day, if you don't treat each other with respect and you criticize each other, or you don't care for the other person senses you don't care for them, you'll never have a real relationship in the bedroom, and that's why it'll kill the love in the relationship. And that's why it's so tenuous and so pivotal in a marriage that you should care about the other person's feelings and not insult them in any way. And you should say to your wife, you love her all the time, even though sometimes you don't love her, or even though sometimes you really, even if you don't love your wife, just say you love your wife, because it hurts her feelings. You don't have to be 100% honest. You're supposed to lie in marriage. It says you could lie. If your wife asks you, do I look nice? Doesn't look nice. You say you look nice. Am I overweight? No, you're not overweight. There's people fatter than you. You have to be honest. I'm sorry, you don't have to be honest. Being honest, being truthful is having a good marriage and caring about your wife's feelings. And if you don't do that, and you're allowed to lie for these things, then you're not caring about your wife's feelings. You're not going to have a good marriage. So that's what I'd say. Really, the essence of marriage is it's about love, and that's why it's so fragile, a relationship, because any time you insult to the other spouse, it's gonna break that bond and break that desire to be in the bedroom. We'll talk more about this going forward. Hope you enjoyed today's lecture. See you in the next one.